Okay, Omicron is spreading. It seems like everyone has had it, even those who've been double and triple vaccinated. I think it's fair to say President Biden has failed to shut down the virus as he promised. He's also seemingly squandered the trillions of dollars that were allocated for coronavirus relief, turning down efforts to ramp up the production of rapid at home tests, failing to make it easy to get treatments like monoclonal antibodies widely available. Instead, the administration spent the last year just demonizing unvaccinated people, pushing unconstitutional mandates, allowing Fauci to further shred the credibility of the public health establishment. All of this was unproductive. And the fact is now more people have died under Biden's coronavirus watch than under Trump's. And remember, Biden campaigned on this as a candidate. He said anyone who is responsible for that many deaths should not remain president of the United States of America. So because of all of this, a lot of institutions are now considering shutting down again, or they are reimposing mitigation strategies that didn't work the last time. So, for example, in Washington, D.C., they just announced a citywide vaccination entry requirement for indoor facilities. We've also had college football bowls canceled, NHL games postponed, colleges that are 99% vaccinated and filled with young people shutting down. You can almost feel the fear setting in again. And the media are stoking the fear. They're pushing the narrative that this feels like March 2020 again, because that's how they profit. They profit from the fear. But here's the thing. It's not March 2020. We have way more weapons in our arsenal than we did back then. We have treatments, we have vaccines, we have hospital protocols that work. And oh, by the way, we have a good deal of immunity, natural and otherwise, already built into the population. So please don't fall for the fear game. We have the tools we need to continue to live our lives while protecting the vulnerable. And if you disagree with me on that point, fair enough. But at the very least, can we agree that we cannot shut down schools again? This was our biggest blunder. And shame on us if we repeat it again. We can't afford to inject that fear into our kids' classrooms or allow them to fall further behind. And I'm sorry, but remote learning is not a substitute, especially for young kids. Remote learning is a euphemism for school shutdowns, and that is a recipe for student failure. Sitting in front of a screen all day is not learning. And we have schools in Wisconsin that are now shutting down again. We have Milwaukee public schools shutting down. Same with Madison. I heard reports of Racine. Thankfully, not yet in Northeast Wisconsin. But, and oh, by the way, when it comes to remote learning, talk about a policy that punishes the poor relative to the rich. Rich people can do remote work. Rich people can run away to their cottages or their beach houses with a bunch of iPads and high-speed internet. And they can probably hire private tutors to make up for learning loss. But while they're sitting there wondering who stocks the shelves at the local Whole Foods, but working class people have to work in person. And their kids need to be in school, in person, with teachers, and with other students. Not even Biden's education secretary wants to shut schools down at this point because he recognizes how bad of an impact it's had on our kids. So please, at a time when this country seems divided on everything, particularly everything related to coronavirus, can we at a minimum agree on the fact that schools have to stay open? We can't live in fear, and we definitely can't allow this fear to mess up our kids. At this point of the pandemic, we should be trying as hard as we can to teach our kids courage, not fear. They've learned fear for the past 2 years. And courage means confronting the problem, not running away to Rehoboth or blaming someone else. So to end where we began, Biden ran on this idea that he had a federal government solution to COVID. But we're now a year into his presidency, and it's obvious that this plan, such as it ever existed, failed. Even Biden was forced to admit that it failed. He recently admitted that there is no federal solution to coronavirus. That's actually a step forward. You see, part of courage is admitting when you failed. We need the courage right now to see that going back to the top-down, shut-down, lockdown strategy that failed before will fail again. There's no federal solution for coronavirus at this point, and for most things in our lives. And recognizing that is a cause for courage, not for fear. We need to take charge of our own health, our own lives, and our own children. and not spend the rest of our lives locked inside because of fear.